Hi.
Hi.
Or shoo if you're Hilda. Welcome to this episode of Prattle Potion podcast, brought to you by your hosts Leia
and Hilda.
Hi.
Hi.
How you doing? How's your day going? How you feeling? How's life? How's everything? How's it going?
Oh my god. How's it going?
I just felt like I had to really lean into that
How
one.
you doing?
How you doing?
No, but I'm actually feeling quite good, actually.
Free.
Because
Relieved.
from today, the day was the day we are recording is a Tuesday, and this Monday I actually had my final exam in my final course.
So yesterday?
Yes. So I am officially free. And that feels great. Especially after the week I had before this one was a lot due to stress of the course and just life stress generally. But now I'm feeling better. I'm feeling like I can start planning up to start working out again to make myself feel better mentally and stuff like that. And
Just get back on track, pretty much.
Yeah, I've been really derailed lately. But now it's feeling much better. And it's good. Like, even though maybe the math test, I will not actually pass it, I am feeling very good that it's over. I went in with the mentality of like, it is what it is. Just get it over with. It felt better like than I thought. Yeah, it really do be like that. It went better than I thought, which is always nice, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, so I'm feeling quite good.
Do you think there is a possibility for you to pass?
Yes.
Ooh, look at you go, bitch.
I think so, but it will be like
barely.
Very bare minimum.
Yeah.
If I do.
But the bare minimum is still a pass.
Yes, it is. Yeah. Mostly because I was like sitting and doing old tests, because this test was like an SAT test. I think we agreed on it's most similar to, and I was doing old ones on Sunday just to kind of keep like what I would be seeing, stuff like that, and I was like panicking because like I don't know these questions. I have no idea. These questions are so hard. And then when I sit down doing the test, the actual tests, I was like,
what?
Oh, I know this. I know that one. And even though I didn't maybe finish all of the questions entirely, I still showed that I know what I want, what I'm supposed to do, but I just don't know the finishing move, the KO.
But see, that's what I told you. It's gonna be okay. Like I'm sure you'll do better than you think you will, because that's usually how it goes. Like you do better than you think you're gonna do. I feel like that's just a universal thing when it comes to tests, honestly.
It really do be like that. It really do be.
It do be like that.
It do be. How are you doing?
I'm doing okay. I've had I finished my project work. We have our presentation tomorrow, but it's pre-recorded, so that's very nice. So
nice.
Probably won't even have to say anything during the class, which is lovely. And otherwise, I'm doing pretty good, but I'm having a rough tick day today, so I'm a little bit out of it because it's kind of it's still a relatively new thing for me to deal with the severe tics that I have, or I mean not compared to some people, but compared to other people, like it's severe for me.
From zero to having them, it's kind of severe in a way.
Yeah, it is. And I mean, I get hurt sometimes and stuff, so it's kind of hard to deal with, not only physically but like mentally too. So it's been a rough tick day, and I have my little hand wrap to keep myself
it looks
from.
like a claw.
Yeah, it does look like a claw. I have a little hand wrap to help me, like try to prevent from hurting myself more, because I did hurt myself before. So it's a whole thing, but otherwise I'm doing good. It's just it takes a toll, you know.
Yeah, I can imagine.
So, but we also had an interesting experience last night.
Oh, right.
It
was the most confusing Snapchat I've ever gotten. The first one. It's like, what am I looking at?
I snapped. I took a snap and sent Hilda and like in a group we're in. I sent a snap of a man. I took the snap from our window, and it was a man lying on the street, and it was at night. So basically, what the situation? No, it's just like.
I thought you guys were like just taking a picture into the dark.
Look at the view.
Like, okay.
But so basically, what the situation was, we were just about to go to bed. I hear this like screaming, but not like terror, not like a danger, like someone being in danger. It was more of like a whoa, hey, whoa, ah! Like he was having the time of his life,
man.
Yeah, for sure. So I looked outside, and this man was like stumbling, like trying to get home, I guess, but he was stumbling like crazy, and then he fell. And he was like, he looked like a beetle or a turtle or something. He was on his back, and he was like, his arms and legs were like flailing, like he couldn't get up, and he just looked like a turtle. And he was kind of like rolling around, and he was laughing, but then sometimes he would be like really quiet, like he was about to pass out. And we waited a few minutes to see if he was going to be able to get up. But then we kind of came to the conclusion that, yeah, he's not going anywhere. So I decided to call the police and be like, hey, I think you guys need to help this man. Like, I think he needs to, please. Yeah, I think he needs to sleep this off, or maybe even he needs some medical attention, and stuff like that. So at this point also, he was still making noises and stuff, but after a little bit he stopped like making noises. He took a nap, but we kept like I was kind of on high alert. I'm a bit of an emergency person. I'm very like, I know kind of what to do, and I'm just like prepared for shit. And so I was like, I'm very prepared to like get dressed and run down to help him, but only if he really needs it, because I obviously didn't know if he was like gonna be like aggressive or anything, and I didn't want to put us in danger.
Yeah, that's what's scary when people are very, very drunk or affected by drugs or anything. Yeah, like that.
For sure. And we didn't know if he was, on drugs, or if it was just like drunk or anything. But so we kept like an eye on him, made sure that as long as he like stays on his side, it's gonna be fine, because I didn't want him to pass out laying on his back, because if he vomits, he could choke. And all that stuff. So we made sure that he was like safe and stuff, and we were prepared to run out in case he needed it. But the police came, they picked him up. When the police came and picked him up, we kind of started suspecting that he was on drugs, because he was like basically not responsive when they tried to wake him up at first.
Oh.
And then they were able to like have a conversation with him, but when they picked him up and he stood up, he started like jerking really weird with his head. And that could be like when you're really drunk, you try to keep your head up, but it still looked like really weird. And also at that point, I think we noticed that he probably hurt his leg too, because he was like hopping, like he couldn't lean on his leg. So I think they took him to the hospital or something. But I hope he's okay now. But yeah, so that was kind of an experience. I don't know. This has a tendency to happen. to me. But I think it's also a very like I don't leave these things. I don't look the other way and keep going. I'm very much like if someone needs help, I put myself in the situation because I would want someone to do that for me.
Of course.
So I mean, I've called the police a few times when it comes to helping people and stuff like that. It's kind of weird, but and I mean, I've helped my fair share of drunk people. But I don't know. It has a tendency to. I don't know if it has a tendency to happen to me. I just pay attention to it. I think.
Yeah,
I don't
might be a mix of the two.
Yeah, I think so. But so yeah, that was interesting.
There's too many people that would just drive up and be like, "Oh, a drunk," and then drive away.
Yeah, like the people that did that.
Yeah, you told.
I mentioned that also on Snapchat yesterday. Yeah. That there was a car that passed him, and I know that they saw him because they slowed down, but then they just kept driving. And obviously, I don't know if they called the police or not. But the thing is, when I see people do that, I'm like, oh, I feel like these people wouldn't call the police because they didn't even bother to stop and see if this man was alive. Because at this point, he wasn't moving. He was fully passed out, so they don't know if this man was alive or not.
That's so strange. Because, I know. I mean, you could obviously, if you drive a car and see like a group of people being really, really drunk, I would understand that you wouldn't go out and check on them. But if someone is laying unresponsive
on
lonely
the ground, person, that
there's like,
baffles me.
Should we just go out and check on him?
Yeah, that baffles me.
And then kind of call the cops or someone.
Yeah. That like, absolutely baffles me. And obviously, like, I understand that we don't know, like, if this was, say, a parent or one person in the car, they don't want to put themselves in danger, or, if you have children in the car, that's one thing. I don't know why you would drive around with children at 1 a.m., but, but still, like, I understand, but I'm kind of like, I still don't really understand it because you don't know if this person is alive. You don't know if they are in danger.
They could just like stop the car and actually call the cops. They didn't have to go and check on him.
No, exactly.
If they were really that scared, they could just call the cops, tell them that there is someone here laying unresponsive on the ground, and then keep their distance but keep an eye on him. Like you guys did. Like, you don't actually have to walk up to them all the time. A call can do a lot, and if they have children in the car, they can lock the car when they go out for safety if they really want to. Yeah. But
so it just baffles me when people just walk past.
There are many ways to help.
Yeah, like it's the bystander effect. Like people come into a situation and everybody assumes like, oh, I'm sure someone called someone, or I'm sure someone has an eye on this. Like, who? Who do you think has an eye on this? And like, it's not gonna hurt for a second person to call the police. In case, like, it just baffles me, and I don't know. And obviously, I don't know if they called. So I can't say anything about that.
But I feel it was like they would have stopped if they did, because they would want to know his location, so they could tell like what he looked like and stuff like that.
Exactly.
They wouldn't just drive away when they got home, be like, "Oh yeah, by the way, hi cops.
We passed this man." Yeah.
I don't remember what he wore or where he was, but there is a passed out man somewhere.
Yeah, so that just baffles me. But anyway, I just want to tell that story and stuff. But
that's kind of interesting because it's the bystander thing illegal in like a crime thing in Sweden. I know there is in some countries.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I don't know, but I think that has to do with when someone is like in
direct
imminent
danger.
Yeah. Because I think it, as a avid true crime watcher, I know there is this story where there was a woman in the US who was like broad daylight being chased and like about to be murdered, and people were like standing around and just watching and nothing happened. I think this was like in the 80s or something.
I recognize that too.
Yeah, and I think that's when it became more like, you should do something. But I don't know if there's a law, because I think it's very difficult to pinpoint.
Oh yeah,
that
it is.
because also people respond so differently to like trauma and stuff. Some people have the fight, some people have the flight, and I don't know. It's very difficult, but I don't know. But I think it is more like say they can really know that you were. If you were at a location watching someone else murder someone and you did nothing, I think you can be charged for like aiding someone's death or something because you didn't do anything to stop it. Yeah. But I think if it's like a group of people standing around just watching and not doing anything, I don't know how the law works around that. But if we have any true crime buffs or any lawyers or police officers, let us know.
Let us know.
But so that was pretty much my situation.
The stitch.
And this is the part 2 of our Resident Evil series, I guess you could call it almost, because there is a chance that there will be a part 3 actually, but we will kind of estimate or decide that during the episode. So either this is part 2 of 2 or part 2 of 3. We'll see.
We'll take it as it goes.
Yeah. But before we hop into it, what's your Prattle Potion of today, babe?
It's my classic coffee that is a little bit cold because I made it 4 hours ago.
Yes, love it. Classic morning coffee still being drunk later during the day. I love it.
Yeah, I don't hate it.
No.
It's quite good when it's chilled.
That's nice.
It is.
That's nice.
Don't hate me.
My Prattle Potion was also supposed to be my coffee, but then I noticed I was starting to have a rough tick day, so I tried to lay off the caffeine at that point to not spur it or whatever. But so I'm having iced tea.
Oh shit! That's fancy.
I'm having a big ass mason jar with iced tea and ice.
Now I'm just thinking of like all the TikTok girls that make like these complicated, really like coffee drinks in their mason jars.
That's me, beach.
Yeah, with their straw in it, and they like add a lot of cream and sugar.
Yeah. Oh god, I hate it. It looks so nasty.
Yeah, and then it like spritz a little bit of coffee in there.
Yeah. Fuck that. No.
Yeah.
It's milk with like coffee taste. That's what it is. It's not coffee. But anyway, but I because I have a short story about this. So I live next to a Lidl. I don't know how to say that in English. Lidl. But so I live right next to a Lidl, and it's they have very inexpensive items, I would say, and they do rotate their stock, I guess I would say, and they so they don't always sell the same stuff, right? And a few months ago, or a month or two ago, I tried this new iced tea, and let me tell you, I found my soulmate iced tea. I adore this iced tea. It's so good. It's the best I've ever had, and I love it. It's so weird. And I love it so much. And so when I went back like a week later, they didn't have it anymore because they have a rotating stock. And I was so sad. So sad.
No.
But so a week ago, I think it was a week ago, they had it back in stock.
And you
so
just
I bought 8 liters. I bought 4 packs of 2-liter iced tea. And let me tell you,
God,
it's been the best week of my life. We have 1.5 left.
What? What?
I love my iced tea, beach.
Oh my God, you've been drinking like 7 liters of iced tea?
Well, no, we have 1.5 left, and every pack contains 2 liters. So we have about 3 liters left, and Simon has had some. So
I
I haven't had it all myself. No.
I was like, oh my god.
No, not quite. But I mean,
you're gonna become.
Honestly, like this jar, I like drinking out of these jars, and this one is almost a liter by itself. So I mean, this is almost half a pack.
Sips furiously.
I love it. It's so good. I know you're coming here not this weekend, but weekend after that.
Yes.
Hopefully I'll have this iced tea and you need to taste it because
it's
so good.
Please.
So good.
Please.
So good.
Please.
But yeah, so that was my short iced tea story. I'm having iced tea. I'm very content right now.
I need to change up my Prattle Potion game, I feel like.
Yes,
because I'm only having coffee. I need to get back on that Monster Ultra grind.
Oh, fuck yeah, do it.
The Monster Ultra grind, though.
Fuck it up.
Or I'll just grab the carrot juice that I have in the fridge.
That sounds
it's gross.
Lovely.
It's horrible.
I don't like carrot juice. Jeez.
I was so sad because I usually buy a juice that is kind of expensive, and it's from like this it's kind of expensive. Yeah
we've talked about Brännhults before. I think on the podcast.
And I usually buy one that is with the carrots, chili, ginger.
Yeah, I think you had that on the podcast at one point, and we talked about Brännhults.
Yeah, exactly. And that's my favorite juice. It's so good. But I thought I was buying that one, but apparently I bought regular carrot juice, and it's fucking gross. It's so gross. It literally tastes like a liquid carrot.
It tastes like when you rinse off a carrot and you eat it right away. So it's like water with carrot, but then imagine just like drinking it all. Yeah, like
it's just
keep eating it like. Because I've tasted that. I think I bought it when I really had to like have breakfast, and they didn't really have a lot of options because I went to the convenience store. And I tried that one and I couldn't finish it because it just tastes like liquid carrot, literally. And I know that's what it is, but still, like, it's supposed to be carrot juice, but it's just so carrot.
It's just so carrots. Just so carrot.
Exactly. I'm sorry about that, babe.
Yeah, and it was like, for some reason, because I had this, my mom was helping me with the math test that I did, and so we decided to have like breakfast together and then study some math and then eat lunch.
That's so cozy.
It was super cozy, and I brought this juice with me, and that was before I realized I bought the wrong one. And for some reason, I was like, I just didn't want to have that conversation because, like I said, last week was bad. So I just didn't want to have that conversation with my mom where I said I do not like the juice that I bought. So she was like, oh, you drinking carrot juice? Do you like that? And I was like, yeah. And then I downed a glass of carrot juice. I was like, yeah. I just didn't want to have that conversation.
Oh my god, that's such a people pleaser behavior. You can,
I know.
That's not like you. That's not like you.
The whole time I was doing it, I was like, why am I doing this? Is my mom. She wouldn't.
Yeah, but that is very classic anxiety behavior for sure.
Yeah, I just didn't want to have that conversation with my mom where I said, no, I did a mistake. I bought the wrong juice.
It's not like she would care.
No, she would be like, oh, that sucks.
So stupid.
She wouldn't care.
Yeah, anxiety brains be like that. They really be out here.
Oh, it was so funny. I still don't think that my fiance Kenny knows that we have the wrong juice at home. So I'm thinking I'm gonna try and make him drink it and see if he likes it. So I don't have to throw it out because I don't want to. Yeah. I would force myself to drink it.
Try to trick everyone else to like it, and then you're gonna be good.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. But so we have been talking for 25 minutes almost, and we have a long episode to go. I think we're gonna have to do a part 3.
Yes, I do though. I do think so too.
I do think so.
I do think so.
But so I'm just gonna say, like, take it away, Ernie. Oh, you don't know that reference? Okay, that's cool. But yeah, just go for it.
I was like,
it's from Harry Potter. It's from Harry Potter. Take it away, Ernie.
You're so much more Harry Potter than I am.
No, but it's a kind of famous thing. It's when they drive the night bus. You know the.
Oh yeah.
Okay, take it away, Ernie. Yeah, Ernie, take it away.
Yeah.
You know.
Okay. Yeah. The
I don't remember the exact quote now, but
yeah.
I was just gonna take it away, Ernie.
I remember.
I remember. Okay, Resident Evil time. You got the floor now, Beach. Go for it.
Okay, so like we said, this will probably be a part 2 of 3 because we're going to talk about both Resident Evil 7 and 8. And I quite quickly realized that we won't have the time for both of them in one episode because there's a lot. So we're going to just hop right into it. Before we start, I'm going to just say spoilers. This, along with the first part, of course, contains massive spoilers for Resident Evil 7 and 8.
This is more of like deep dive specifically in the games, and the first one was more general history.
Yeah, we did small like spoilers in the first one, but this one is big, massive spoilers. Since I decided to tell the Resident Evil story according to timeline, big spoilers will be relieved. No, they will not be relieved.
What's the word you're looking for? Revealed.
Revealed. Thank you. They will be relieved. They will be revealed early on in this episode, just so you know. If you want to play Resident Evil 7 or 8 and want to keep it exciting and interesting story-wise, I advise you to not keep on listening.
And it will still be exciting, but it's not going to be a surprise.
Yes. It's going to be like the whole story of Resident Evil 7. We're going to start with that one. But I'm going to tell it in the way that the timeline is. And that includes the DLCs that you usually play after you finish the main game. But they take place before the main game. So we're gonna, there's a lot of important things that we're gonna find out in just the first few minutes that are very crucial to the story.
Spoiler alert. Yes. You have been warned. Let's fucking go.
Warned.
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, sorry.
So let's just start with a very short description of the two main characters of both Resident Evil 7 and 8. So these are Ethan and Mia. Ethan Winters was born in 1984, and he met Mia somewhere around the year 2000. He worked as a system engineer, and Mia worked at a trading company traveling the world. In 2011, they finally married and were a rather typical, happy, normal little couple.
When was Mia born?
I don't know.
Oh, okay.
I don't know, actually. I think it's somewhere around the same year. As Ethan. They're very like the same, because I realized this when I was writing about everything, that there is not much said about them before their story starts. For example, if we compare them to Chris Redfield that we talked about in the last episode,
we have so much like family and like a life before.
Backstory, like everything like that. No, Ethan is a system engineer.
That's his identity.
He works as a trading company.
Oh no, he's one of those people. It's his whole identity.
Yes, it is. Like there's nothing more before the story that has to do with them that we get to know.
Okay.
And they are quite special. People were like, there are two new people in the Resident Evil universe that has not been introduced before, which was very new when they released Resident Evil 7, because up to Resident Evil 7, it has always been the same group of characters that they had been reusing because they were telling the story along
like Chris, Leon. whole
the
gang.
Jill Valentine and a lot of other characters.
Yeah.
So this was quite exciting that they were introducing 2 new people, but it was also a little bit like, who are they though?
Yeah.
Because they didn't give any kind of explanation to who they were.
Yeah.
Especially not if you're just playing the games. You have no idea who Ethan is. He's just a normal guy.
He's just out here.
He's just a normal guy. But, I also want to give like a slight trigger warning, actually. Because there will be mention of suicide, murder. And I thought I will be warning before that comes. But just so people are aware, the whole Resident Evil story is quite gruesome, but they are actually quite mentioning suicide and murder later on.
Yep.
So, we've mentioned the crime syndicate, the Connections, the organization born out of Umbrella pharmaceutical researchers. We did this in the last episode. Yeah. They had developed a new type of virus, the E-virus, or as they would come to call it, Evelyn. Evelyn appears as a young 10-year-old girl, and she is a bioweapon. Without the need of physical combat, she can instead take over people's minds. This was revolutionary, and many wanted this weapon as their own. With groups such as Blue Umbrella determined to track down Evelyn and her creators, the company made the decision in October 2014 to take her into hiding. Agents discreetly escorted Evelyn under the guise of parental guardians onto the cargo ship Annabelle, bound for Central America, where they planned to take her to a second laboratory. One of these agents was a man called Alan Droney, born in 1961 and was aged 53 at this time. He was also one of the lead researchers of the Connections. The other agent was a woman, being none other than Mia Winters. Mia had been lying about her workplace to Ethan for a long time, and was really one of the lead researchers of the Connections. She and Alan had been tasked by the Connections to transport Evelyn to the secondary lab.
Excuse me?
Yeah, so I wanted to mention something to you last time. But it makes sense.
So that's how they got entangled with this whole thing. Mia was actually a researcher for this umbrella branch or whatever, like the new sub-umbrella, whatever you're supposed to call it. But what?
So when I said...
So is that why the Baker dad, kidnapped Mia? Because she was actually, with that whole... or she ended up by the Bakers?
I will get on to that later.
Yeah. What the fuck?
Yeah, but so that's what I really wanted to tell you last time, because when we played through Resident Evil 7, this is quite openly told in the games, as mostly in one of the DLCs, where you play as Chris Redfield, but it is quite, it's not that, of a, what the fuck? If you have played the
how
games.
come I didn't know about that?
Because I think because I didn't know either, because I wasn't reading all of the notes in the game.
Yeah.
At the end.
Yeah.
And if we had done that, especially during the DLC, we would have understood quite easily that, that's why that happened.
And also I think I missed a lot of when you played that DLC. Because since you mentioned it last, you said the whole thing with Chris underground and stuff. I do recall that I did look a bit at that DLC when you played it, because that was when you had that lift thing and you were running around as Chris and shit.
Exactly.
But I didn't look at it that much either, so I did miss quite a bit of it as well.
Yeah, and I think I was so into playing as Chris Redfield that I just didn't pay attention to anything else. And there's also points in the main game where you kind of get this realization that Mia has connections with Evelyn for some reason. Since Evelyn is targeting her quite specifically, but you're really not sure why, but you know that there's some kind of connection there, and this is the connection.
Oh,
Mia
so
was
you said that
pretending
this
to be her
person this Alan person was pretending to be Evelyn's dad, and Mia was pretending to be Evelyn's mom.
Exactly.
Okay.
So they could get her to the secondary lab.
Yeah, I get that. Okay.
Yeah. Yes. So that is quite... that, yeah, it was... When I read that, I was like, no, yes, no, what?
My gosh. Okay, yeah, continue.
But so, yes. The trip was going well, and Mia sent Ethan heartwarming video messages to cheer him up and to keep him away from speculations. This is also one of the first things we see in the game, where we see a video of Mia on a boat, being like, this babysitting job is soon over, I'll soon be home. Pretty much. Yeah. And she's like looking to the side, and I think she sees Evelyn somewhere, and she's like, oh, I can't wait to get home and get out of this kind of thing.
Damn. Poor Evelyn, man.
Yeah. However, not long after, a massive hurricane tore through, and many boats, vehicles, and planes went missing due to the hurricane's power. The ship they were on got hit as well. However, that was not only the ship's downfall. The hurricane stressed Evelyn, and she grew unstable. She began to rebel against her handlers, infecting Alan, and then running away further into the ship, where she began vomiting excessive amounts of mold and infecting the ship's crew, all while being pursued by Mia. At this time, Evelyn began referring to Mia as her mommy, and made clear her wishes and intentions were to have her own family, while also demonstrating her powers against those she despised. So yeah, she grew stressed, and as everyone does when a hurricane hits the boat, she was like, oh, fuck this, I'm out. So yeah, she infected Alan, and was more like protective over Mia, and was more like, this is my mom, but she didn't really like Alan that much. And so during Mia's pursuit of Evelyn, she found Alan hurt and infected by Evelyn's mold. He grew tired and stressed of the situation and proceeded to loudly call Evelyn a little bitch. This only made Evelyn's hatred for him grow, and she made sure that he quickly, yet painfully, died of her infection.
Oh, that's nice.
So that's smart to do, you know, when you have an unstable bioweapon. Call her a little bitch.
Sure. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, for sure. Evelyn was able to infect Mia with the mold as well, in the hopes of keeping her alive and under her control. The two were soon thrown into the waters as the ship was torn apart by the storm. So, Evelyn and Mia would both wash up alongside the wreckage of the ship in the Bay of Dulvey, Louisiana, in the following days. And on October 10, they were both rescued by a man called Jack Baker, who took them back to his family's ranch. With Mia unconscious, they had no way of knowing how dangerous Evelyn truly was, and instead provided the two with shelter until the storm subsided. So this is also one of the DLCs that we played, where you play as Zoe.
Oh.
And you see Jack enter with like Evelyn in his arms, and everyone is normal and they are super kind. They're like big, warm-hearted people, and his wife is like... Yeah, I think I've seen this part. Yeah. I think that was the first DLC we played, to be fair.
Yeah. They have that like very classic, more southern hospitality. They're very nice people, very warm and very inviting and stuff.
Literally went out because he saw that there was a ship that had crashed, there was a wreckage, and he was like, I know there's people on there, I'm gonna go and save them. And then he fights those two people. So we're just gonna have a quick little recap about the Baker family, especially Jack and his son Lucas. Jack Baker was born and raised in 1960 in Louisiana, and when he became a young adult, he joined and served the United States Marine Corps. And after his time there, he became the owner of an old ranch in Louisiana countryside. He married his wife Marguerite, and they together had 2 children, Zoe and Lucas. So, we've talked a little bit about Lucas Baker before, and his involvement with the connections. Lucas was incredibly smart and won several grand prizes for his inventions and ideas. However, his social skills weren't quite right, and he easily grew very angry. He even once locked his friend up in the attic of the Baker residence with the help of a contraption he had invented, and his friend sadly passed away from starvation up there. You know, as you do.
Yep.
Marguerite kept pushing him to come with her to the hospital many times to check on his head. And one time he actually went ahead with it and got a jigsaw puzzle as a prize from his mother. I didn't actually find out if they found this kid up in the attic.
Yeah.
Or if that was just, they didn't know about it at that point. Or if they did and they just hidden it, you know, they didn't want it to find out.
Yeah.
But so he was very special, extremely smart, but he, like I said, had social issues and couldn't really handle his anger very well.
Okay.
So let's
go
back to
issues. Sorry, I have some issues with this. This might be, you know, you're telling this story. I don't know what you're gonna say, so maybe you will address this later. But I have a little bit of either this is gonna be explained and make sense, or I feel like this is kind of almost a lazy writing plot hole.
Okay.
Not plot hole, but it's lazy writing. I mean, isn't it just very convenient that Mia and Evelyn washed ashore and got saved by the Baker family when their son is connected with the connections?
This will be explained.
Okay, good. Because I'm like, this feels very much like lazy
too.
writing. Yeah.
Yeah, I was thinking that too. Like, either, like, Evelyn knew that they had, like, and that's why she made them get there, but yeah, it's gonna be explained.
Yeah. Okay, good. Because I was like, this is bothering me.
Quite very soon, actually. I'm gonna talk about it.
Okay, good. Oh, perfect.
So let's go back to what happened to Evelyn and the Bakers after they had gotten them into the house.
Yeah.
Jack placed Evelyn in Lucas' old bedroom, with Zoe intending to clean her and provide her with new clothing. However, Evelyn soon caused a blackout in the main house and ran off, where she ended up infecting the Bakers one by one, turning them into her new family. For some unknown reason, Zoe wasn't as affected by the mold as her family was, and so she stayed away from them and kept to herself, with most of her head intact. Over the next 3 years, Evelyn began ordering Jack, Marguerite, and Lucas to abduct homeless people and tourists in the hopes of adding them to her adopted family.
3 years?
Yeah, that was in 2014.
What?
Lucas was just as infected as the others, but after some time, agents from the connections sought him out and provided him with a serum that stopped Evelyn from controlling his mind. This serum was made out of D-type viruses.
Was he already connected with the connections, or did they find him?
They found him.
Oh, okay. So he wasn't... Okay, so he got in with the connections because of what happened.
Yes.
Okay, gotcha.
That makes sense, right?
Yeah, gotcha. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, so they were like, okay, here's
sense.
this really smart guy who is under the influence of Evelyn.
The mold,
Let's make him one of us and like have him as a undercover spy in the Baker house. Yeah, this makes sense.
Okay, now I accept this plot story.
Yeah, okay.
Accepted.
So I'm just gonna explain the D-type viruses kind of quick. And this is where the trigger warning appears. Just so you guys know, if you don't want to hear about that, skip like 2-3 minutes forward and it will be over.
Yep.
The D-type was the prototype of Evelyn, and there were many. Dana, Dahlia, Darlene, Dorothy, Dolores, Diana, Danielle, and Doris. And just as Evelyn, they were made to look like young girls and to control people with their minds.
Creepy.
However, most of them didn't work properly. 4 died of natural causes. 1 was killed by her creators for being branded a failure. And 3 were killed in an apparent murder-suicide between the girls. Some of these remains, like Dolores and Dahlia, were newborns. And they were also on the shipwreck that took Evelyn and Mia to the bakers. End of trigger warning. It's very subtle, but it's there.
Yeah.
And it's also kind of horrible that it's between the girls.
Yeah, like 3 girls, and yeah, that's...
Yeah, and they don't explain exactly what happened. It's just something that this is actually information people found while they were deep diving into the files of Resident Evil 7. So I don't think this is in any, like, specific notes in the game.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah. So this was... the serum that the connection gave Lucas was made out of tissue samples from these girls, these viruses. Ew. Although Lucas would soon become immune to Evelyn's mind control after using the serum provided by the connections, he nonetheless kept up the pretense and was able to fool her into thinking he was still under her control. In exchange for the serum, Lucas agreed to spy on his family for research. And he was soon given the role of lead researcher by the connections, much to the dismay of the other researchers. Aiming to take Evelyn's mold for himself, Lucas eventually betrayed the connections, arranging for all of their researchers to be locked in a room to be killed by Evelyn's monsters.
Chill.
So he's special.
Yeah.
He's one of a kind.
Yeah.
And this is also, I do believe this is when you play as Chris, you find this laboratory that is connected to the mines. And you find the lab, the room that they were locked in and killed.
Okay.
In, pretty much. So you find the information about that in there.
Okay.
He didn't really...
I have a question.
Please.
I feel a bit confused, and again, maybe you will address this later or elaborate, I don't know, but I feel confused about the timeline because you said that Mia and Evelyn, they were on this shipwreck, they got saved by the bakers, then Lucas, as everybody like started getting infected by Evelyn, Lucas was like saved or whatever by the connections. And you said that Evelyn would get the family to bring people to add to their family or whatever for 3 years.
Yes.
I'm feeling a bit confused about those 3 years because I thought that Ethan went looking for Mia when she disappeared.
He did not. So I think I can explain this a little bit better. And I think this will be kind of explained a little bit better as we go on as well. Let's see where I left off. There I did. So in 2014, she went missing. And Ethan and the rest of the world pretty much declared her dead.
Oh.
And if the connections helped with that, unsure. It might be that they wanted her to seem dead, since they wanted to cover up any kind of trace.
Yeah.
But she was declared dead in 2014, so he didn't go look for her.
Oh, okay, and then she was able to like make contact and stuff, and that's when he started looking for her because he thought that she was dead, but then there was kind of like proof of life, and that's when he started searching for her.
Yes, so we will get into that as well.
Yeah. I'm sorry.
But no, it's good that you're asking questions.
But because I thought she disappeared, and he then started looking for her. But now when you mention it, you are right that he thought she was dead, and he started looking for her. Okay, yeah, I'm with you.
Okay. So Jack and Marguerite, meanwhile, that Lucas was doing this, remained under Evelyn's control for the rest of their lives and killed most of the abducted when they were deemed unfit to be part of Evelyn's family.
Yeah.
Evelyn's obsession with family drove the Bakers to abduct more and more people in 2016, attracting national attention. People around the village had for years thought the Bakers to be dead, as they had so quickly vanished. However, small sightings of the family members led the people to believe that the Baker residence was haunted. So, before we continue with that, one of the parts in the main game is that you watch tapes where you kind of live through other people that have been in the house.
They are kind of like ghost hunters.
Yeah, exactly. So since people
I like that
around,
DLC. It's pretty cool.
It's really cool.
Yeah.
Since people around the town thought the house was haunted, it gained attraction as a haunted house, and that is why I think they're called sewer gators.
Oh yeah, okay.
They are all around like South America and finding like haunted houses, and those guys were also one of the 3 victims that they got during.
I mean, especially Louisiana is quite famous for hauntings and the paranormal and stuff like that. So that totally makes sense.
So during this time, and Ethan and the rest of the world had presumed Mia dead. However, in 2017, he received a video message from his dead wife, Mia. Evelyn had manipulated Mia into contacting her husband, Ethan, in the hopes that he could be turned into a father figure for her. When he arrived and freed Mia, intent on escaping the Baker's house with her, Evelyn ordered her to kill Ethan in response to his attempt to break up the family. But he was able to successfully fight back and defeat his infected wife before being knocked out by Jack and taken to the main house alongside with Mia.
Oh, so that wasn't Mia sending out the video from the big start, because I thought that she regained some like clarity and stuff and wanted Ethan's help, but that was Evelyn luring Ethan in.
So it was Mia, but she was under the control of
of
Evelyn.
Yeah, for sure. I thought it was more like she regained some clarity or became herself, and she was like sending out a distress signal or something.
I thought so too, but
interesting.
It makes sense that Evelyn, she lost her father figure, Alan, that had been that for her from the start, but then also I don't think she enjoyed having Jack as the father figure for some reason. So and I think since she can control people's minds, she also has some kind of ability to see and read people's minds. So she knew about Ethan simply because Mia missed him. Because during these 3 years, all of the Baker family, but mostly like Lucas before he got cured, Mia and Zoe, they kind of regained their minds for short periods of times, and they resented Evelyn, but they didn't know why. So they couldn't just like kill her while they were back, because they didn't know, she was just a kid, like they didn't know all of that. So it could have been that, but then Evelyn decided to, I want Dad.
Gotcha.
Evelyn had during this time not received the medication she was supposed or used to. It was used to keep her controlled, as well as in her true form as a young child. Therefore, Evelyn had begun to age rapidly, and by 2017, her now true form was a wheelchair-bound old lady.
Yes!
The old lady!
The old lady!
So if you've played the games, you know that this old lady follows you around the house. Like, always. You find her around the corners and stuff like that. And what I found really interesting that I didn't even think about is that, well, when we finish the game, we know that that is Evelyn and her true form. But also that she follows him around and summons hallucinations for him a lot, which is many of like the important parts of the game where he sees things. And now there's like, oh, all of that was hallucinations by the old lady. Does anything exist? Is anything real? No. Which I thought was a little bit interesting.
Yeah, it definitely is, because we also find out, I'm not gonna like step on your toes too much in this, but I'm just like, it kind of makes sense because of one of the bosses in Village later, where we're also told like all of this wasn't, nothing happened.
Yeah,
it was just Ethan pretty much running around like swatting flies, not seeing anything. Like,
yeah, very interesting. Ethan was forced to fight through the Baker residence, and he quickly found out with the help of Zoe that the serum to be cured was inside of the residence, the D-type project. Ethan wanted to cure and free Mia, while Zoe wanted out of her maniac family and two wanted to be cured. With the two helping each other, Ethan took out the mother and father of the Baker residence and gathered the pieces needed to create 2 doses of a cure. And one of these doses, however, had to be used in the last finishing fight with Jack Baker and his extremely mutated true form, which in the end led Ethan to have to choose who to give the cure to, Zoe or Mia. The candid ending to the storyline is Ethan choosing to save Mia.
Yeah.
And so they leave Zoe behind.
Yeah.
But I thought that was kind of interesting because I've only played Resident Evil 7 once. And I did choose Mia because I felt like that was the logical choice.
Yeah, I think when you played it, we were in chat. We were like, choose Zoe. Mia is crazy. But I think you said like, well, I know that Mia survives because she's in the first or next game. So I feel like it's like canon to choose her because it just makes sense because she's gonna be alive the next one. So if I leave her, that doesn't make sense with the story.
Exactly. So I decided also just quickly to look up like what actually happens if you choose Zoe.
Yeah.
So apparently if you give Zoe the cure, you go on the boat, you leave Mia behind. Like just like it would if you chose
You do it Zoe, yeah.
Yeah. And then when you get a bit further out, Zoe dies.
What?
She can't leave the house.
Oh.
Apparently. And so you are alone and you get on the ship that you do with Mia. But then you have Mia as like a mini boss fight.
Whoa, that's cool.
Sometime in the ending of the game. So you kill Mia too. So you don't win. Cool. Yeah, it is really cool. So I'm thinking like maybe I should just play it again and choose Zoe and see how that ending is.
That would be cool.
Yeah, but the canon ending is to save Mia simply because of Village.
Yeah.
So Ethan and Mia goes off in the little boat, and just as it was about to look bright and it seemed like they had made it out, they passed by the wrecked ship that Mia and Evelyn arrived on. And just as they passed it, Evelyn's gruesome mold appeared from the waters and blocked their way. Evelyn took Ethan deeper into the wreckage, and Mia had to delve back into the ship to find her husband. Mia fights through the wreckage and finally finds Ethan. She rescues him and hands him a serum made from parts of Evelyn that she found in the ship. She then sacrifices herself by shoving him out of the way and out of the room when Evelyn closes the two inside of the ship. So this is also like when you play as Mia, she starts remembering like how she got there and stuff like that. And she finds like old papers that she has written because that was her lab for many months. And she also finds this serum that is made from tissue.
She kind of realizes that it's her fault that they are there, like that Ethan is there from the in the first place. So she's like, well, it's not his fault.
Yeah, and also fun fact, this is the only time we get to see Ethan's face.
Yeah,
it is. And he's a blonde boy.
Yeah, he's blonde boy.
He's a blonde boy.
Because in Resident Evil 8, he doesn't have a head.
He doesn't have a head. However, I've seen people who were able to take away like the shadow. So there is pictures of him now. What he looks like.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah. So if you play through Resident Evil 8 and you bought like, you can buy in game from achievement points like pictures of illustrations of characters and stuff like that. And every picture of Ethan, his face is covered in black shadow because they kind of wanted the player to immerse themselves with that character and place themselves as him. Which I like. It's a cool idea, but I also want to see what it looks like. You know.
Honestly, I hate that idea because it's not an RPG where we customize our own characters and delve into it in that way. We know it's Ethan. We know that it's a specific character. So why would we want no face? Like, if people are fans of Ethan, I would rather have a picture of him than having him be faceless because I'm supposed to be like more... what's it called? Immersed, exactly. Yeah. So I think that's stupid. But it's funny because me and my husband, we talked about this only yesterday, where some people who make some like Resident Evil Village videos and stuff, they have mods and stuff where they have managed to like remove themselves to be like a third party character almost, so they can walk around when there's cutscenes and stuff to see things from different angles. And Ethan is decapitated. He doesn't have a head.
He doesn't have a head?
He doesn't have a head, and it's so ugly.
What?
No.
Like, I get it because you play in first person mode, you don't need it, but still.
It's so ugly. But yeah, it's really cool when they make these characters, because then when it's like cutscenes, they walk around and see like different angles of Heisenberg and stuff. It looks really good, but yeah, Ethan doesn't have a head.
He doesn't have a head? He's decapitated.
Yep.
Oh, shit. But yes, let's continue. Mia and Evelyn is closed in on the ship. Mold is like growing everywhere.
Yep.
So Ethan, motivated by the apparent loss of his wife again. He's like, oh shit, I lost my wife again. Ethan determinedly fought his way through Evelyn's molded in the nearby mines and reached the lab of the connections, where he crafted the necrotoxin required to kill her. That is made from the serum Mia handed him. All while experiencing increasingly intense hallucinations as she focused all her power on trying to control him. So, questions?
No. I'm just he do be like that. He's a what did you say he was, like a engineer or a system?
He's a system engineer. Yeah. He's such a normal guy, and he has to go through all of this.
He's just like, I'm gonna go in this lab and craft this serum. Like, what?
I've never done this before. I'm using a shotgun first time in my life.
Yeah. Cheapest.
Ethan hurries back to the baker's house and fights even more visions and hallucinations. As he reaches the attic, he finally finds Evelyn. He grabs her and injects her with the serum, and her ability to control him ends abruptly. Her looks suddenly begins to change, and she turns into her true form, the aged old lady. She begins to cry and lament? Wait.
I don't even know that word.
It's okay. She begins to cry and scream, pretty much. Let's skip that word. She begins to cry and scream that everyone hates her as the serum makes its way through her. She screams and cries about how much it hurts, and then her body falls apart, and she merges with the mold inside the house.
And then she becomes that big monster, right?
She becomes a huge mutated monster of her past self. and begins to try and end Ethan once and for all. However, the fight was short-lived, thanks to a sudden helicopter appearing and dropping a gun with potent bullets made against bioweapons for Ethan to use.
Yes.
Finally, Evelyn calcifies and her body crumbles into pieces. So we've talked about Blue Umbrella and what they do. So quick reminder, Blue Umbrella is a way for Umbrella to clean up, or appear as they clean up at least. And they make a lot of weaponry against their own old bioweapons. Yeah. So this was one of the created weapons that they had made. Ethan is woken up by a certain Chris Redfield, who is answering the distress call that Blue Umbrella had sent out to the BSAA. He is taken to a helicopter where he also meets Mia again. Because after he had injected Emmeline with a serum, all of her control had let go, and Mia had been able to flee the ship's wreckage and to be found by the BSAA. After escaping, they are eventually interrogated by the BSAA, and they decided to move the Winters into an Eastern European country for fear that they would still be the target that the crime syndicate is still after. And that is how Resident Evil 7 ends.
So question, why would they think that they would still be a target for the
crime syndicates?
Yeah.
I think mostly because of Mia, to be honest, and also their exposure to the mold and to Evelyn that they had. Since Evelyn was known to take over people's minds and things, I do not think that the organizations and stuff that were out to get that type of virus, I don't think that they thought she was dead when she died. Since she is so potent in a virus kind of way.
Yeah.
I think they would believe that she lived on through either of those two, and they would be targets in that kind of way. Especially since Mia also was a part of the connections.
Yeah, gotcha.
And
they got information and stuff from information from her and stuff too.
Yeah, exactly. So
technically, Lucas and Mia were colleagues for a short period of time.
They were, which is questionable.
Crazy.
For like 2 years or something.
But so, okay, another question.
Yes, shoot.
The connections, they went into, they like infiltrated and like at the Baker residence by recruiting Lucas, right?
Yeah.
Why wouldn't they try and help Mia then?
Also very good question, actually. And all I can do there is to speculate. And I would guess that Mia knew too much. And that she also was too far in it with Evelyn.
Too far gone.
Yeah,
I guess she was kind of like too close to Evelyn. Like Evelyn kept too much of an eye on her that they couldn't risk. Exactly. Because then they might be able to, their cover would be blown, I guess. Exactly. But it just fascinates me that they didn't try and infiltrate Mia or save her. Also because it's like, it would have been so worth it for them because Evelyn held Mia in such high regards that it would have been worth it for them to have Mia on their side, I guess.
I think because that is correct, they would gain a lot of it, but I also think they gained a lot from watching how everything went. It was like a big experiment for them. I guess they were like, oh, this is great, a far off family in the middle of Louisiana countryside, and no one cares that they're gone. We can just keep an eye on them and see what happens with our bioweapon that we just created, pretty much. And I think, like you said, Mia was a little bit too close to Evelyn.
Yeah.
They wouldn't have the chance to get her away like they did with Lucas. He wasn't as high held in for Evelyn to keep an eye on all the time.
Yeah.
Like that.
That makes sense.
So,
but that's just something I was like, hey, that's kind of rude.
Hey, rude. But yeah, I don't think the connections really cared too much about the researchers, mostly about the outcome in the end.
Yeah, makes sense, I guess.
Yeah, they do be like that, you know.
They do be like that.
So that is the ending of Resident Evil 7, and we've been talking for 1 hour and 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And I think we will talk more in depth with about Resident Evil 8 in the next part. However, I'm gonna just give a little bit of an intro for Resident Evil 8.
Do it. A little cliffhanger, if you will.
Cliffhanger. Three years after the events of the Baker House incident, Ethan and Mia have settled into a peaceful life and moved to Eastern Europe, courtesy of Chris and the BSAA. And they have together conceived a daughter named Rosemary. Even though it seems alright, Ethan can't help but feel like a part of him is still stuck in the Baker residence, and he wants to talk with Mia about it. However, she dismisses him many times and gets increasingly angry about it. One fateful night, after Ethan has put Rosemary to bed, he returns down to the living room where Mia has prepared a dinner and wine for the two. Ethan once again brings up the incidents of 3 years back and feels how strange it is that everyone could let go of it so easily. As they are arguing, suddenly the lights go out and Mia is shot in the shoulder. Ethan quickly tells her to get down, but she is shot multiple times before being killed by Chris, much to Ethan's horror. Ethan is ordered to follow Chris out of the house, but as he sees one of Chris' squad coming down the stairs with Rose in his arms, he becomes furious and panicked, and he asks what Chris is doing to them. Ethan aims to hit Chris, but is overrun by the squad members and is knocked unconscious. So we're gonna leave that there, pretty much.
Yeah. At first, when you were like, yeah, Mia shot in the shoulder, I'm like, yeah, and also basically like, oh my gosh, like they really pepper her.
Yeah.
Like they really go off.
Yeah, they like shoot her first once.
She becomes she becomes like a pincushion.
She really
just like
yeah, they shoot her once and everyone is like, oh, and she's just standing there also. Yeah. She's like, what the who did that? And then suddenly they start peppering her and she falls to the ground. Yeah. Chris comes in and he's like shooting her 10 times in the head. Yeah. And Ethan is like, what the fuck is going on?
I can't wait for next episode because OMG, I'm so excited to talk more about Resident Evil Village because we kind of took this journey together, I would say, because you know, I don't like playing these games like I've mentioned in every episode so far. With that has to do with Resident Evil, but it's such a good story, and we were so invested. Like I actively watched every time you streamed this game, and I had so many questions and things I wanted to discuss afterwards, and we still haven't vented about this because we wanted to save it for the podcast. So next week we will talk about Resident Evil 8, but also reflect and vent about what happened.
I want to go through
and get some questions answered. Hopefully,
I want to go through the story. And since also, like I mentioned in the beginning of this episode, Resident Evil 7 was a bunch of spoilers early on, simply because there's a lot of DLCs and all of them almost, except for like one, happens storyline in time-wise before the main game takes place. So that is why a lot of spoilers happens timeline wise before the main story happens. But for Resident Evil 8, however, there is no DLCs, and the story takes place very much just as we have played through it and as everyone knows it so far. So I can't wait to talk about that, because I want to really delve into the story and then delve into the important characters that we meet, and just discuss their importance and all. There's so many things.
I wanted to just ask a little bit about the DLCs in this game. So Biohazard was very, like you said, the DLCs mostly take place before the actual game. But I wanna know about this blackjack thing we played. Like, how does that even? Is it just like a fun thing? How does that take place in the story?
Okay.
Were we our role, was that Ethan, or was that another random person that Lucas was just toying with? Or
I know the storyline of this one, actually, because I was very curious about that too. We play as a guy named Clancy, and if you kind of I don't think you'll remember this, but this is kind of a fun Easter egg thing. If you play through Resident Evil 7, and right before we free Mia, there is like this desk with papers, and there's a list of people who is like names, and then there's a line and it says dead.
It's like
dead.
Marked.
And furthest down on this list, Clancy's name is written, and it's a line and it says L.
Wait, I do remember this, because we were like, what does that mean?
And I think I missed it the first time, and all in the chat was like, no, go back. There was something weird.
Yeah.
And we didn't really understand that then. Quite. But as we play through the DLCs and stuff like that and further into the game, you get quite an understanding of it, because that kind of means he was living at that point. Oh. Because Clancy is the cameraman from the Sewer Gators team that survives. So he is the one that he finds the other two dead pretty in that little part that you play him in the main game, and then you kind of don't really get to see where he, like, what happens to him. So
he just gets taken, basically.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And so in the DLC, he wakes up strapped to this chair, and we play blackjack with another victim, and the one that wins survives.
This is very much like, this could be a game in Saw. Yeah. Like the Saw movies.
That's very Saw. And this is a game, a contraption made from Lucas. So Lucas, he was a smart son, and he loved making traps and contraptions and to torture a lot of the victims that the Bakers brought to the household that were later deemed not fit to be in Evelyn's family. Lucas would take them and be like, oh, these are like toys to him, pretty much, which is horrible. So he tortured a lot of them, and one of them was Clancy. However, he survives this play thing from Lucas, and he then escapes, but he is caught by Margaret and Jack and brought to one of the bedrooms. This is also so that DLC that we play with the blackjack is a two-parter DLC, kind of. So the other part is where you play as Clancy again, and he has just escaped that, and he is strapped to a bed, and he's forced to eat this mold that is supposed to turn him into one of the family members. And that is like a big puzzle. You have to like avoid Marguerite and try to make your way out of this room that you're locked in.
I think I remember this.
Yeah, it's really hard, and it's like you have like this amount of time that you have to do things. And you need to be quiet, and you need to put everything back where it was before she enters the room. It's a really nice part. But he in the end escapes as well, which is great. Like, go Clancy. He got big Ethan energy at this point. Yeah. Big Ethan energy. However, he is trapped again by Lucas, and you play through this trap in the main game as the second video that you find, I think. Where you have this like happy birthday with the clown. Yeah. And sadly, in the end of that, he dies.
Yeah, that's where he dies. And that puzzle, we watched that video, and because Clancy fails that puzzle, we are able to figure out how the puzzle works and escape ourselves. Exactly. Yeah. That's right, because I was like, how does that blackjack thing even play into it? But that you're right, that's how it was.
Yeah, so it's very jumping back and forth a lot between the DLCs.
But I love that too, because it's like we learn so much about other characters that they don't really play a big role, but it's kind of cool to get a story about a character that plays a small role in our own character's story.
Yeah,
it's pretty cool.
I love that.
I like that.
Even though Clancy wasn't like this, you didn't get to know that much about him. Because of him, we managed to go forward with the story, which is really nice, and that they also incorporate that with the DLCs, with like minigame DLC kind of thing vibe to it. It's really, really nice. Yeah. So yeah. That is how Clancy and all of that is involved in the story.
Pretty cool.
Yeah. How do you feel?
I like it. I feel good. I'm excited about being able to talk about Resident Evil 8 and for next week's episode and all, but it's we never really discussed much about Biohazard either, so I'm really glad that we could vent a little bit about this, because it was so funny when we were playing and I'm like, Grandma, she's sus. She's so suspicious. It's something about her, man. She's not a regular grandma. Something's weird. And it turns out that she's the big villain. Yeah. And I love during the stream, everybody's like, oh my God, you called it. I'm like, I told you she was sus, man.
Yeah. Because I think like you read in this laboratory that you find that it has the connections researcher thingy. You kind of find the papers where it says like that if she doesn't receive her medicine, she will grow increasingly old. And that one was like when I started to click, I was like, because you were like always like, she's sus, there's something wrong with her. And then I was like, but oh my God, you're right. Wait.
Yeah, what if she is sus.
And then when you put the serum in her and she turns into this old lady and then into this mutated monster, it's like, it's her, what the fuck?
It's the bitch. Yeah. Oh, that was fun. No, but so we never really vented about that, and it's really fun to have talked a little bit about this, and I'm really excited about next week's episode, because it's going to be a really interesting discussion, because that's still so fresh in our minds, and I have questions, I have things I want to know, so I'm really
need
excited.
Answers.
Exactly, for sure.
Yeah, I have some information that is
interesting.
It's interesting. It's
I love it.
Surprisingly connected to everything we talked about. And that is really we're gonna talk about that next week. I could sit here and talk about Resident Evil for a long time.
I think it's also very funny that this was like, we need a Resident Evil episode, and this is now going to be a 3-parter because there's so much information. But I really love that, because I enjoy lore deep dive, I enjoy story and stuff, so it's going to be really interesting, and I can't wait for next week. So next week there will be a part 3 and the last part of Resident Evil.
Yes. I promise.
As always, we will. Yeah, she promises she will keep it this time.
I promise.
But as always, you can find us on Instagram on Prattle Potion. We will update with relevant pictures for the episode in question.
Yes.
So it will be very jam-packed with Resident Evil pictures this week and next week. Heck yeah, beach. You can listen to the podcast on SoundCloud and Spotify and YouTube. Thank you guys so much for listening this week. I hope you guys are excited about next week.
Thank you for letting me rant about Resident Evil.
Hell yeah, beach. We love it. Oh, hell yeah. But we'll see you guys again next week. And until then, stay safe and have a good one.
Yeah. Bye.
Bye.